Classic Battles number 1, Dorinthea versus Rhinar drops just in a few days here, and we've finally seen some sneak peek images of people cracking some early product. They've been hitting the interwebs, and we believe, at least, that we have a pretty good picture of everything that'll be in that. Now, we don't know the full list, but we've seen what we believe to be the new cards that will be in that. So I wanted to go through those tonight, kind of do a full rundown of the new stuff, do a little bit of review of that, and then talk a little bit about what's there and what's not there and how that affects this product overall, and kind of just my thoughts on the whole shebang. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Welcome back to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. So yeah, talking Classic Battles DVR, RVD, if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. So yeah, we've got had some stuff hit the interwebs. Looks like some people cracked some product early, which I don't think is a surprise to anybody. And they took pictures and posted around the various interwebs. Thanks to everyone on the Dice Commando Discord for sourcing this stuff and all putting it in one spot, because I know I don't have the time to search like all you crazy kids and find it, because I'm not in all the cool kids clubs. But so I wanted to run through it here for other people like me who maybe aren't in the cool kids club, haven't seen it, talk a bit about it. Now, let's get one thing out of the way, right? So it is dropping this week. It's dropping Friday officially. Thursday evening is when it'll be technically legal, because it'll be Friday in other parts of the world. For the U.S. is what I mean, Thursday evening, which will be Friday in New Zealand and all that, right? So expect to see lots of cracking videos and all that stuff happening near the end of the week, which should be pretty cool. But yeah, today I wanted to run down the new cards, talk a bit about the whole thing and the product at large. I mean, I think this is like the third or fourth video we've done on the product itself, and we're talking about, is this really for new players? Is it not? I think, I'll just be blunt. I think by and large, seeing what we've seen now, primarily that there's only two things, right? There's only one copy of Glistening Steelblade in the box. It's what we believe. There's only one copy of the specializations and only one copy of the mentors. I think we expected there would only be one mentor. I don't think that's really surprising anything. I think finding out that there's only one copy of Glistening Steelblade is a big deal, because it implies that, not implies, it demands, if that is the case, which it does appear to be, it demands that for every player who wants a Glistening Steelblade, there has to be one of those products open, right? So I do want to bring something up, actually, while we're at it. I had a comment on the page today, because I took that poll about what people want to do, and we'll go over the results here in a minute. But someone said, buy singles. If you need 3 Glistening Steelblade, why the duck would you buy 3 sets of the Versus boxes instead of just buying 3 Glistening Steelblades? And I don't think anybody's implying that you would necessarily do that, but the fact that there's only one in there means, right? I mean, it's just math. It means that for every copy of Glistening Steelblade out there, one of these has to get opened, right? So thus, Glistening Steelblade will be some portion of the cost of that box. Now, the hope was originally, and also B of this, by the way, on this little rant, is that Rhinar is the same, right? Rhinar is not different. So, and Alpha Rampage is the other. I've got the thing up right now, kind of, if you can make it out, but we'll go through some of the other stuff. But point is, so the Rhinar deck basically doesn't have chase cards in it, right? Yes, it has the Mentor, which will be worth some portion of that. If some, as a single, it'll be worth some portion of that. I just have to be, people keep saying, but there's cold foils, they're going to be worth money. And it's I don't think you understand that, what makes cold foils worth money is the fact that they're harder to find. And the fact that you can get a cold foil out of one of these is not going to make those cold foils worth money, right? So will people spend $5 on them? Maybe. Are they going to be I don't know what people are thinking. I can't even put myself in that headspace to understand what they think it's going to be worth. But maybe the cold foil is worth $5, maybe, right? anyway, so my point here is with Rhinar being basically not attractive in terms of that, right? Because a lot of people are like, okay, if there's 2 of the specs, then what I can do is I can buy one and then split one with a buddy, something like that, right? And or, you know, if I just want to buy one, I can buy the warrior and my buddy can buy the Rhinar. We can split the $50, right? All sorts of discussions like that. But now you're looking at one of the decks not being as attractive as the other deck, one of the specs being way more attractive. I mean, because Alpha Rampage is available in other places, right? And it's not that expensive right now. So, right, so if you look at the resale of that, anyway, you guys follow what I'm saying here, right? Glistening Steelblade is going to end up being basically the chase card from this. So if it's a $50 price tag, let's say the people who are cracking it to sell singles are paying, let's say, $35 or something like that. If this is the major chase from that, I expect Glistening Steelblade to be a $20 to $25 card, right? That's what I expect, right? So sure, if I was to go out and buy 3 of them, it would cost me $150 MSRP. You're probably going to get, actually shout out to Ganga Games, right? They put up pre-orders today for this. You can use code Commando10 at checkout for 10% off. Save yourself a little money. There'll be free shipping as well. I believe at that amount, you have to do the math after the 10% off, but you know, maybe buy a pack or 2 on top of it and you'll get there. Anyway, point is, right, this, yeah. So this is, we'll see what this is, right? I mean, it's $150, $120, whatever it may cost you to buy 3 of these. You know, you're going to go buy the single, but then, you know, at some point there's a cost benefit analysis of like, maybe I should just buy the whole thing and get the extra collectibles and sell them or have them or whatever, right? So you got to do you. But anyway, rant over. I think you guys understand what I'm driving at here is that, you know, the Glistening Steelblade being a one of is bad, right? And you know, the reason I threw that comment up is I don't think people are quite, you know, people are like, well, just go buy the singles. Well, in order for that single to be bought, somebody has to buy the friggin' box, right? So, or I mean, somebody has to or open it, which means they didn't have a realized profit, which means they have to recover it, right? So again, we're looking at Glistening Steelblade, I think being like a $20-ish card, probably. I mean, I'm just guessing here, right? We'll see where the things fall. And then, you know, the other part of this here, and I know I'm ranting on Glistening Steelblade, we'll get to cards, I promise. But the other part of this here is that a lot of people have been speculating. It's like, oh, well, you know what? They're going to reprint these in the next supplemental set, which is it's possible, right? It's completely possible. But we talked about this before on here where it's kind of like a damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? Let's say I go out tomorrow and I do it the dumb way and I buy 3 of these for $150. And now I have my 3 Glistening Steelblades, and then it gets reprinted in the supplemental set, and then it's an 80-cent card. Well, I just wasted a lot of money to get my 3, or my 2, right? Because I still wanted the base one. But the additional 2 Glistening Steelblades, I just wasted some money there. So you're damned there if you do that and they reprint it. But then if they don't reprint it, you have this card that everybody's buying the product for, and then the product's going to run out. And anyway, this is a... Yeah, it's funny, right? You guys saw earlier in the week, I was like, hey, let's talk about the positive. Again, LSS is doing a lot right. I love the fact that this product exists. The product looks really cool, balanced against each other. But in terms of having exclusive product in it that is only skewed towards one, that is not having exclusive, you know, it's not atypical that starter decks have like one mythic in it or something like that, right? In the Magic world. But that card, unless it's like a commander or a singleton, like that card is generally available elsewhere. So I think it's a big deal. Anyway, how about we end Andrew's rant and we go into the cards, right? So we're just going to run through it. So DVR is the Dorinthea deck, right? So DVR001 you see right here with Dorinthea, and then it's RVD for the Rhinar deck. I think that's actually pretty creative, right? I got to give them a shout out for that. I like that. So we've seen Dorinthea already, but just a reminder, we're having some conversation today. People had forgot that her ability is keyed specifically to Dawnblade Resplendent, which we have seen as well. So first time Dawnblade Resplendent, gains go again, you can attack an additional time with it. So it removes the front hit requirement of the current Dorinthea Dawnblade situation, right? And she's a standard 420 there for a young hero. Going into Dawnblade Resplendent. So it is a 1/4/2, but the second time you attack with Dawnblade each, and it actually does not, it doesn't say Dawnblade Resplendent, but you know what it means, right? Second time you attack with Dawnblade each turn, it gains +1 until end of turn. So we had quite a bit of debate today or a couple of us had quite a bit of debate today in the Discord about whether this is good or not. I mean, it's not really good or not. It's the debate was like, well, would you rather do this or Dawnblade? It's like, well, obviously with Quicksilver Prodigy, you're playing this. I want to point out something. I'm not saying this is necessarily better than Dawnblade. That's not what I'm saying, but I don't think it's strictly worse than Dawnblade. And something I want to very much point out here is there is nothing on this card that talks about losing counters, right? So remember the original Dawnblade, it gains counters on its own, which is great, but if you do not successfully hit on a turn, you have to take a turn off, you lose those counters. This guy does not lose counters. So if you can get counters on this, they stay on the whole time. And that is very relevant for Glistening Steelblade, which is what we're talking about. I mean, that's I think Glistening Steelblade's the main. Granted, I'm always predispositioned to like Dorinthea. You guys know that. I care about Dorinthea and Warrior, but I got to tell you, that's the card in this set. So, all right, moving into Hala Goldenheim. There's a lot of text on this one. This is the Warrior Mentor. We have seen this one as well. It's pretty standard Warrior fare, blocking for 3 here. While she's face down at the start of your turn her face up. And while she's face up, whenever a sword attack hits, it gains Go Again, which means that you could then swing with it and put a lesson counter on a Hala. Then if there are 2 or more lesson counters on a Hala, banish her, search your deck for Glistening Steelblade specifically, not like a specialization, anything, specifically Glistening Steelblade, put it face up into Arsenal, and shuffle. So, it's a way to get you, because those are, like Glistening Steelblade is permanent counters, right? We'll go through that now, right? Glistening Steelblade is permanent counters on Resplendent, right? So whenever it hits, right, it's got everything you want it to do, right? It gives the Go Again. When it hits, it gets counters. I mean, it's a must block. It's an absolute must block. If you compare it with the Ironsong Determination, really, really, really good. Again, we've seen it. I don't want to get too much into it. We've already spent a whole ton of time talking about it. But it's really good. I am almost definitely swapping out cards. I mean, if I can get 3 of them, which I probably won't for a long time, right? Because I'm going to buy one of these because I want to have them, and I'm sorry, I don't think I can justify buying more. So I'll probably just wait until the supplemental set, right? That's probably what I'll do, and we'll wait and see if it comes out, because I don't want to see the supplemental set get spoiled and all of a sudden be like, oh, well, that was a waste of a lot, right? So I'm just not mentally there right now. Anyway, all that said, Glistening Steelblade. Really good card. Definitely going to run it in Dorinthea if I can. All right, moving on to some new stuff here. So we have On Guard, which is a warrior action, blocks for 3. Your next weapon attack this turn gains 3. Go Again. It is red. Now, what we have noticed, right, a lot of times when we see in our head, we see a common or we see a rare, we see certain colors, we're like, oh, there's going to be a full spectrum of this. Again, this is a situation where there might be somewhere down the line, but from what we can tell based on what we've seen, that's not going to be the case, right? There's in this deck, in this product, it looks to be like these are going to be the single pitch versions, or not single, but you know what I mean. They're only going to be the red pitch version of On Guard, is what I'm saying. That's what it appears to be. Again, we'll see when it hits on Friday. I do have to say, a side note, I'm really not sure why the people who are doing the teasing stuff early don't just give us a picture, because like you've got an open product. I don't know what they have to gain by just teasing us and leading us along, but we'll take the breadcrumbs, I suppose. All right, next is comments on this one. It's not great, right? It is still a warrior action. It's strictly worse than a lot of the other stuff. I mean, it's strictly worse than a warrior's valor, right? And it's not bad. It's just strictly worse than some other stuff that's out there. And it's not a generic, which will apply to some of these cards. So, for example, this one, Thrust, is a generic attack react. Target sword attack gains +3, defense for 2. It's a strictly worse Razor Reflex. I mean, it is. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just Razor Reflex is better, right? So you see a lot of this, I think, as we go through this, that it's very clear the 2 decks are meant to play it into each other, which is perfectly fine for the product that it is. And we'll see, And again, that's kind of the argument to the supplemental sets. Like, would there really be any reason for them to reprint this? I don't know. I mean, now, as we do go through this, note the rarity, right? So for people who are very excited about Commoner, something a lot of people have been talking about lately, it is relevant, the rarities of some of these, because it basically gives you a double. Like in this case, right, with this one, Ninja could potentially run 4 red Razor Reflexes effectively. Well, not effectively, because sometimes you use Razor on... Actually, that's not true entirely. It's not true at all, because sometimes you use Razor on your attacks, your attack cards, and not just your weapons. But you see my point here, right? You could effectively get... if you look at, this is worse than Stroke, it's worse than Out for Blood, it's worse than Razor Reflex, but it could let you run more copies of said, right? So, fair enough. In commoner format is what I mean. I mean, in any format, but in commoner specifically where it would matter, I would think. All right, on a Knife Edge, your next sword attack this turn gains go again. This one's 0. It's fends for 2. It's kind of a worse hit and run, right? And hit and run, usually you run yellow-blue, so... And this one is generic, though. So there's been some speculation out there about, like, Runeblade jank, right, where you could try and do some crazy stuff. I mean, I don't know what that would get you, because you'd probably... I mean, you generally want to end with Rosetta, because you only have so many cards, right? So you want to NA, and then Rosetta. I don't know what it gets you, but... Again, it could work. I don't know. It could work. But it is, yeah, like I said, it is generic. It could work with other stuff out there. So, fair enough. And then we have Visit the Blacksmith. So this one is blue. Your next sword attack this turn gains 1, go again. This is something that, it's again, this one's generic. So, like, if you compare Visit with the one we saw earlier, which is On Guard, they're essentially the same. I mean, they're not, because one's generic and one's rare, but you know what I'm saying? They're serving the same color pie or color sequence purpose, but they're different colors, different cards. So that's interesting, right? And again, that tells me that in the supplemental set, like, would they really do Visit the Blacksmith and On Guard in the supplemental set? I think no. So I think, again, a lot of people have been saying these are probably going to get reprinted. They might. I kind of hope they do from a glistening point, but you see what I'm saying, right? It's like On Guard and Visit the Blacksmith being in the same set as a full, like, rainbow seems weird. You know what I mean? But we'll see. Maybe they don't do them a rainbow, and that way you can get foils of them, because that is kind of the pattern they've done, is that way you can get foils of them. So fair enough. We'll see. All right, run through. So this one actually came. This one's will be in the upcoming Armory kit. This one's good, right? So this is run through. It's a yellow for 1. Target sword attack gains go again. Your next sword attack this turn gains +2. This is a Blade Runner. It's a yellow Blade Runner that's not limited to one-handed weapons. This is really good. It's also scary because now Kassai has another one. So Kassai can effectively run 12 Blade Runners, right? 2 of which are yellow, or 4 of which are yellow. This card's really good. Really good. So, and if there does end up being a full color pie of this, that's really scary for Kassai, right? Now, this is the promo. We don't know what the rarity of this one is, but remember, you can play Kassai in commoner. It seems to me this would end up being a common, just based on comparing it to Blade Runner. So that could be really scary for Kassai commoner if they're... Again, it's like the if then, right? But if it's common, if there's the full rainbow, but either way, this one's really good. All right, Blade Flash for 1 blue generic attack reaction, target sword attack gains go again. So again, it's strictly worse for Warrior. It's strictly worse than Glint in almost every way, but it's generic. So it fits that it would be a 2. You don't have the reprise of comparing it to Glint, but it's generic. So that's interesting. Again, I'm not. I don't have anything that pops to my head right now. I mean, sure, you could try to do some Runeblade stuff, but I don't think you're playing Runeblade with attack reactions in there other than Razor, because it gives you go again for Chane. So I don't know. We'll see. But it's a common. So there could be some stuff out there. All right, so Toughen Up. This is a blue generic defense reaction, 2 for 4. Now, this is something that actually seems like it would be... I mean, it's on curve, but the red version of this would be 2 for 6, which is probably why there is no red version of it, right? It looks like it's blue version only. It's a common. I mean, I don't think, because you can play Sync and Fate and Commoners. Like, I don't think you play this, but it probably, again, it's probably very balanced within these two decks. It's fine as a card. It's nothing to write home about. Fair enough. All right, and then we go to the Titanium Bauble. This one's pretty hot, just because of what it is, not like as a card. But, you know, the Bauble thing's kind of, it's been a running, the Baubles are running, it's a running thing in Flesh and Blood. This one defends for 3, which the other one does not. It's blue. I mean, it's better than Bauble, right? So that's cool. And this one actually is common rarity. It's not a token rarity, which matters. It's not token rarity because you can't have the tokens in your deck, right? You can't put Baubles in your deck in Constructed, but you could put this one in your deck if you wanted to. I don't know why you would, but you could if you wanted to. All right, moving into the RVD cards, the Rhinar deck. So going right into Bone Basher because Rhinar's the same. Saw that from the big overlay early on, kind of in like the little grainy corner, but he's the same Rhinar, right? So he does what he does. This is Bone Basher, which is a brute weapon. So we had seen this kind of in like graininess before. We knew it was 4, and we knew it was 2 for 4. We were debating whether or not it was going to be one-handed or two-handed. We're like, it has to be one-handed, right? Otherwise, it's just strictly worse than Romping Club. Well, it is. So it is. I mean, you'd play Romping Club, and Romping Club's a token. I mean, this is common too, but like, you know, they have a nice shiny Bone Basher, and like, you should probably just hand them, like your new players, I mean, when they come in, just hand them a Romping Club. So, I mean, again, for this deck, maybe it works well in this deck in terms of balance. Like maybe Romping Club was too good with the way these two decks play together, which is completely fine. But from a game standpoint, it's just strictly worse, right? Not much more to say there. All right, Blossom of Spring. Now, to be fair, this one could potentially be in both, but the one that we saw is, it's the RVD, so it's in the Rhinar deck. Action, destroy it, gain a resource, and go again. So it's kind of like it's an on-demand tunic for once, right? Which, you know, most Blitz, it probably in this deck, if you're playing these two decks again, it'll probably go more than 3 turns. But, you know, for the most part, you only get Tunic off once. But Tunic does block for once. So, I mean, I'm not, you don't want this to be as good as Tunic, right? That's fine. But, you know, you get my point. All right, this is blurry. Chief Rukutan, right? So it's the mentor. While he's face up, whenever you play a card with 6 or more, you get an Intimidate off him, which is pretty hot. Put a lesson counter. Then if there are 2 more lesson counters on him, banish him. Search your deck for Alpha Rampage specifically. Put it face up in Arsenal and shuffle. So we'll see if this carries anything in Constructed. I don't know. We'll see. I don't really know on this one. It doesn't seem exciting, but you know, maybe you need Alpha Ram. I mean, if you're trying to do like an OTK, can you afford to do this? I don't think you can, right? Because you want 6s and stuff. So I don't know. All right, Beast Mode. So this is a 3-drop red. If you have intimidated this turn, Beast Mode gains +2. It's kind of cool. Remember, if you've intimidated, most of the time. Well, I guess that's not entirely true, but. Because you could play, I don't know if barraging beatdowns and stuff are going to be in this deck. Because remember, what we're running through right now is just the new stuff. There's definitely going to be filler. We haven't seen the lists as of the time I'm shooting this. I'm sure by the time I publish it, it'll have beat me by 5 minutes, so it's out of date because that's the way life works. But this one is a rare, which is interesting. So, and it has that 6, defend for 3. Right, at a red, 3 for 6. Again, and being a rare, it's kind of weird, right? So, anyway, Wrecking Ball. So this one is the counter promo to the Warrior one we saw. When you attack with Wrecking Ball, so Wrecking Ball is I believe it's a 3. It's kind of hard to tell there, but I'm pretty sure it's a 3, right? So when you attack with Wrecking Ball, draw a card, then discard a random card. If a card with 6 or more is discarded, this way Intimidate. That's pretty cool. So effectively, that's a double Intimidate. And as you'll see as we go through this, there's a number of ways to, at least in theory, put stuff on the top of the deck. And oh, you know what? I have to check here real quick. I must have put the mask in the wrong. Sorry, we skipped over the mask, which we've seen. But basically what the mask does is it defends for one. Oh, it's coming up. I just had it in wrong. Yeah, sorry about that. I had it in the wrong order. But we will get there, I promise. All right, Pack Call. This card is hot. So this is a 3, but you don't care, right? You don't care what this drops at. So it pitches yellow, defends 3. When you defend with Pack Call, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more, put it on top. Otherwise, put it on the bottom. So it gives you a defense. So on defense, it gives you an opt. It has 6 on its own. So it's a yellow 6 on its own. So if you chuck it, it works. It lets you tutor for the chuck. Pretty cool, right? Now, sure, it stinks to do that. And I mean, one of the things I heard is like, oh, well, it stinks. You're going to put your like Blood Rush Bellows on the bottom. I was like, well, but you would have discarded it and not gotten the advantage. So this card is still phenomenal. Like this card is absolutely played. And we're relatively confident based on, right, you can look at the numbers and the counts of the card numbers themselves, right? You can actually, I'll take a picture. I was sketching it out in my notebook. I'll take a picture and put it up in editing. Based on the math there, we know that everything except the mentor and the spec will be 1 of, and everything else will be 2 of, right? So you're going to get 2 of these, which will make a lot of people happy. But this card's very good. Muscle Mutt, just a blank A card, like that's fine. So 3 yellow 6, defense 2. This one's generic, but you know, I mean, there are cards out there. I always forget which one. I think it's Wounded Bulls 2, Barraging Beatdown. No, not. You know what I'm talking about. I'll throw it up again because of course I'm tongue-tied here, but it's the one that I use for Prism and Dorinthea, right? It's my sideboard card. It's a yellow defense for 3. Anyway, for 6. You guys get it. You guys get it. All right, here's the headpiece. Sorry about getting them out of order. So this is Bone Vizier. When Bone Vizier is destroyed, reveal the top card of your deck. If it has 6 or more, put it on the top of your deck. Otherwise, put it on the bottom. So it's the same tutor effect we saw before. This is one with Blade Break. It's, you throw it out there, you get a tutor. Throw it out there, absorb 1. It goes away. You get a tutor at that moment to set you up for your next turn. I think it's pretty good. I mean, is it better than other stuff out there? Probably not. But I think it's pretty good. Right? So, and then we have Clearing Bellow. So this is also a rare, by the way. Oh, the last one, it was a common. Okay, is a common. That matters. Right. So Clearing Bellow. This is a rare. Just blue 0, defend for 3, intimidate, go again. I mean, probably want to do Barrage Beatdown. So I mean, and again, it is what it is, but. You know, it's a rare, so it's not in commoner and stuff, and you have Barraging Beatdown, and yeah, I don't know there. All right, so we have Dodge. This is a generic D-React, blue 0 for 2, right? So again, if you were to scale this would be effectively a red 0 for 4. It'd be another one, which again kind of hints to me that like probably these aren't going to all exist in Rainbow, right, in the end. Right, so will they potentially reprint? I mean, we talked about it. Will they reprint this so you can get a foil of it? Maybe. It probably won't exist as a red version, though. Right, that's what I think, because then we'd have effectively 12-0 for 4 reds. Not effectively, we would have 12-0 for 4 reds, right? No, 9. Sorry, see, math is hard. We'd have 9, right? I'm talking Sync, I'm talking Fate, and I'm talking Red Dodge if it existed, which I don't think it will. So anyway. Yep, and then Titanium Bauble, and that'll take us back to Thea. So that runs through the full list, so we can put that away. I mean, again, I think there's, be clear, definitely picking one of these up. I will probably not be picking any others up. You know, you guys need to do what you want to do, and that's all. It's all fair, all well and good. Do what you need to do, but you know, vote with your dollars as well, right? If you don't think this is, I mean, I promised we would put up the results of the poll, which I will do right now. The reason I'm loading it right now is I wanted to get the full votes because right, we've been talking, people have been voting. All right, so you can see it right now. We have. I was planning on buying what. So the question I asked was basically, what's your plan? Learning that Glistening Steelblade is only one of. Does that change your spending plan? And 49% of people said I was planning on getting one, and I will just get that one. There were 118 votes, by the way, as of this moment. I was planning on buying one. I will just get that one. 49%, so basically half the people, or going to do it just like me. I was going to get one anyway. I'll get one, but I'm just going to sit from there. I was planning on splitting with a buddy, but now that's not likely. It's 4%. I will buy a full play set, dollar bills, y'all. Not only 8%, right? So that's, 1 out of 10 people-ish. Well, 8 out of 100, you guys get it. But, one person out of your play group is going to buy a play set. And then 1 isn't worth getting, and 3 is too many. I'm sitting out at 40%. Right now, that one is the, potential overreactionary bucket. So, that one could go down over time. I would imagine most people will shift into number 1, right? The top choice there. But that's, again, based on my own bias. So, again, we'll see. Like I said, if you're excited, you should be excited about the product. It's a good product. Going through this, what we said multiple times was it looks like these play really well into each other. So I think that's a really good thing. I think they probably have I think it's probably, it's a well-designed product that's not a good product. Because I'm not... Again, I think they're pushing the flesh and blood established player base a little hard on this one. There should have been 2 copies of Glistening, excuse me. There should have been. So, and again, I know I'm oversensitive because I'm a Thea guy, and I don't, again, I want to be positive. This is a good thing overall. I am excited overall about this product. I just think that the way the product came across was not great. I know there's a lot of brute players out there who were very sad about Rhinar not being special. I know they're excited about some of these other new cards in there, so there's been a little bit of a tone shift. But I think it's okay. Like, if you're a brute player, I think it's okay to be butthurt on this one. I think it's okay to ask those questions. So, anyway, again, do it. Find your joy. Again, I think it's a good thing that it exists. I think it could have been done better, and there's bummers about it. Right? So again, positive with the negative. Anyway, I'm just ranting at this point. Sound off below. Let me know what you guys think. I know a lot of you guys participated in that survey, shared your thoughts there. Share them here below, right? At some point, it's going to get back, of course, as Josh, the intern, said earlier today. He's like, Uprising will be out in 3 weeks, and we'll have all forgotten about this. Completely fair. So anyway, folks, thank you for joining. And again, sound off. Let me know what you're thinking. Again, one last reminder that if you haven't found a place to pre-order yet, use my friends over at Gangai Games. Believe one for me. So anyway, folks, thanks very much for tuning in. If nothing else, go Commando.